She stood at the crowded bus stop, her twin babies crying so loudly that strangers turned to glare, one man even scolding her as though their tears were her fault. Her cheeks burned with shame, her heart aching as she whispered desperate words to calm them, unaware that the man beside her was about to step in and change her life forever. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next story you hear might just be the one that changes your perspective too. The bus stop was crowded that gray autumn morning, a mist clinging to the air and seeping into coats and bones. Everyone looked restless, huddling under the narrow shelter, checking watches, tapping feet. Among them stood Maya, a 24-year-old single mother gripping the handle of a stroller that carried her 6-month-old twin girls, Lily and Lila. She rocked it gently, whispering soothing words, but their cries pierced the fog like tiny alarms no one could shut off. Their little faces were red from the cold, their fists clenched, their wails relentless. People glanced over with irritation. One woman sighed loudly, muttering something about irresponsible parents. A man scrolled his phone, shaking his head. Then the tension snapped when a tall man in a business suit turned, his sharp voice cutting through the air. "Can't you keep them quiet? Some of us actually have jobs to get to. This is ridiculous. Why drag infants out in public if you can't control them?" The words stabbed into Maya's chest. She flushed, her throat tightening. Her first instinct was to apologize, even though she had nothing to apologize for. She wanted to explain. The missed bus, the babysitter who had cancelled, the cold milk in the bottles that had lost its warmth, but shame silenced her. She stared down, blinking back tears, wishing the ground would swallow her whole. The twins only cried harder, as if their pain amplified her own. But before she could crumble, another voice rose. Calm, deep, firm. "Excuse me," the man beside her said, his tone steady enough to silence the crowd. "Maybe instead of criticizing, you could show some compassion. She's clearly overwhelmed, and these are babies, not machines." All eyes turned to him. Maya blinked, noticing him properly for the first time, a broad-shouldered man in his late 30s, dark hair flecked with gray, dressed in a simple jacket and jeans. His expression wasn't angry but resolute, his eyes holding a quiet authority. The suited man scoffed. "Look, I don't need a lecture. I just don't want to start my day with cruelty," the stranger interrupted, "because that's what this is. She's not the problem. Life's hard enough without strangers piling on." The bus stop hushed. The suited man muttered under his breath and turned away, embarrassed. Maya's lips trembled. She whispered, "Thank you." The stranger gave a small smile. "Don't thank me yet. Let's see if we can calm them down." He crouched beside the stroller, surprising her. "Do you mind if I try?" She hesitated but nodded. He reached into the diaper bag, pulled out a pacifier, warmed it in his hands, then gently offered it to Lily. Almost instantly, the baby's cries softened to hiccups. He began humming low, steady, rocking the stroller with practiced rhythm. Within minutes, both twins settled into drowsy calm. Maya stared in disbelief. You're good with babies." The man's lips curved into a soft smile. "I've had some practice. Do you have kids?" she asked carefully. His smile faltered, a shadow passing behind his eyes. "I did," he said quietly. Then he straightened, brushing it off. "I'm Daniel." "Maya," she replied. When the bus finally arrived, Daniel steadied the stroller as she maneuvered inside. To her astonishment, he paid her fare before she could protest. "Don't worry about it," he said simply. She found herself sitting beside him, her twins dozing peacefully at last. She stole glances at him, curiosity stirring. Who was this man who defended her, who soothed her children as though he had known them forever? She couldn't have guessed then how much this stranger would come to mean. The next weeks unfolded like threads of fate weaving together. Maya, exhausted from juggling night shifts at a diner and a new part-time office job, kept running into Daniel at the bus stop. Each time, he greeted Lily and Lila with playful smiles, coaxing giggles or easing restlessness with a gentle hand. He carried the stroller up bus steps, offered her a seat, even shared a thermos of coffee once when she looked especially worn down. One evening, after a brutal shift, Maya juggled groceries, the twins fussing in their stroller. Her arms ached, her patience thin. And then, like clockwork, Daniel appeared. Without a word, he took the heavy bags from her, carrying them up the narrow stairwell to her modest apartment. "You don't have to keep helping me," she said, fumbling with her keys, cheeks warm. "I want to," he replied simply. Then he bent down to wave at the twins. "Besides, Lily and Lila would miss me if I disappeared." The babies squealed as if to prove him right. For the first time in months, warmth unfurled in Maya's chest. Daniel's presence grew steadily, gently, like a tide creeping in. He showed up not as a savior, but as a steady companion. He fixed her leaky faucet. He brought over meals when money ran short. He showed her tricks for soothing colicky cries, taught her to make homemade purees when formula ran low. The twins adored him, reaching for his arms, calming instantly when he held them. Maya watched him with a mixture of gratitude and fear. She had promised herself never to trust again. The father of her children had left before they were born, leaving her to navigate motherhood alone. Her life was survival, nothing more, nothing less. Yet here was Daniel, breaking through walls she had built high and strong. One stormy evening, thunder rolling outside, she whispered, "Sometimes I feel like I'm failing them." Daniel turned to her, his eyes unwavering. "You're not failing them, you're showing them strength, love, resilience. That's what matters most." Her throat tightened, tears spilling before she could stop them. For the first time in so long, she let herself cry, not in loneliness but in release. Daniel pulled her into his arms, holding her as though her brokenness was safe with him. Still, life tested her. When her employer threatened to fire her after she missed a shift because one twin had a fever, she called Daniel in despair. "I can't lose this job," she whispered, voice trembling. The next morning, he appeared at her door with a solution. "I've been thinking," he said. "The children's clinic where I volunteer is hiring part-time clerical staff. Flexible hours. I put in a word for you." Maya's jaw dropped. "You did that for me?" He only shrugged, modest. "It's a good place. You'd be perfect." The job was exactly what she needed. Slowly, her world steadied. Bills were paid on time. The twins had regular meals, warm clothes, brighter days. And always, Daniel was there. By spring, the twins celebrated their first birthday not with a big family gathering, but with a small circle, Maya, Daniel, and a few neighbors. Balloons bobbed, frosting smeared tiny cheeks, and laughter filled the apartment. Daniel lifted Lily into the air, her squeals echoing joy. Maya's chest ached watching him, gratitude tangled with something deeper, scarier. Late that night, when the girls finally slept, she whispered, "I don't know what we'd have done without you." Daniel's eyes softened, "And I don't know what I'd have done without you." The air between them changed, heavy with unspoken words. But one of the twins stirred, breaking the moment. Weeks later, Daniel finally opened the door to his own past. Sitting at Maya's kitchen table, his hands trembling slightly around his coffee cup, he told her about the wife he had lost in a car accident, about the unborn child who never took a first breath. His voice cracked as he spoke, raw grief bleeding through. Maya reached across the table, covering his hand with hers. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. For the first time, Daniel didn't flinch from the pain. He let her hold it with him. And in that shared vulnerability, something grew between them, something tender, something real. By the time Lily and Lila took their first unsteady steps, Daniel was no longer just a kind stranger. He was family. The twins called him, Dada, before Maya could stop them. Fear flickered in her chest, fear of hope, fear of loss, but Daniel only smiled through tears. One evening, beneath golden streetlights, as the twins dozed in the stroller, Daniel stopped walking. He turned to her, his face lit with quiet conviction. "Maya," he said softly, "I don't want to just be someone who helps from the sidelines. I want to build a life with you. With Lily and Lila, if you'll let me." Tears blurred her vision. For so long, she had carried the world alone, shoulders bent beneath the weight. But here was a man who had stepped in when others turned away, who loved her children as though they were his own. "Yes," she whispered, voice trembling but sure. "Yes." And so, what began with a scolding at a bus stop became the beginning of a love story built on kindness, resilience, and healing. Sometimes the people who enter our lives by chance are the ones who were meant to be there all along. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes, the stranger beside you might just be the missing piece of your story too.